Intelligent City was founded because we wanted to build or supply livable and affordable and sustainable buildings and apartments. And the idea was we can design buildings using the right materials that are actually much more livable and much more beautiful than conventional construction, but we can also do that in the context of prefab and accelerate and industrialize the construction process and ultimately give an advantage to both the developer and the end user at the same time and capture that really as part of sort of the product that we are delivering.
What we do in our component approach is take the benefits of mass timber and its advantages and really create a system that's optimized for mid to high-rise housing.
We like to compare ourselves to Lego in the sense that you take smaller pieces and put them together to build something very unique and specific, right? That's sort of the idea of building custom from a limited number of parts. Generally, what you also have is the predictability in timing and construction times, because you are actually forced to plan a little bit more in advance and a little bit more rigorous because you know things have to go in lockstep.
The most significant difference with building a mid-rise building out of modular or mass timber components, such as we're providing, is the change of mindset from the traditional planning and design approach. We like to be at the table, partnered with the architect, with the developer, day one, help them understand what the constraints are so that we can optimize our approach within the facility. And that's called design for manufacturing and assembly.
There is a preconception that prefab comes with extreme restrictions in design and you can really just build boxes and nothing else. And also the quality isn't very good. But really the opposite is true. The quality is actually better when you build your components in a factory. And we are making panelized components, first of all. So that allows you to really configure the building in terms of what's my facade like, what's my wall like, how do my apartment layouts look like. So when we design a building with an architect and a developer, we look at, there are certainly some constraints that you have to follow, but they're nowhere near that restrictive that you couldn't design the kind of building that you want.
Robotics and advanced manufacturing and technology are really core to our business model. And we utilize those within our facility to bring material efficiently, put it together efficiently, and really reduce the amount of labor that we're using and also make it safer for what we are doing in the facility with our crew.
From our perspective, the reason prefab hasn't worked that well in multifamily so far is the ability to combine a scalable industrialized process with the design flexibility that multifamily apartment buildings need. And for us, the keystone to make that possible is technology. It's software automation in the design process to automate the combination of different apartments and different components, and the automation of the manufacturing process, where we can use the equipment and the assembly lines that we have developed to make different components that look different cladding, different windows, different dimensions. And so we can adapt the design to the specific building and what the developer needs, while we still have pretty much an assembly line in an industrialized environment running. And that way we can bring down the cost and improve the quality while we can adjust the building designs to the specific project. The idea is that you bring a lot of the work, a lot of the trades, a lot of the complication that you have on site, you bring that into a factory environment, and you have much more predictable climates, you have better health and safety. And that ultimately leads to a building that is, it is more airtight, it is more watertight, it has less deficiencies over time. There's less maintenance ultimately. And that builds, probably, I would argue, it builds a reputation over time that mass timber and prefab are higher quality. And that could lead to that image that we hope to change over time, that prefab actually means you get a higher quality building. And I think then you will really start to see there is a real market advantage to using that. The 230 Royal York project in Toronto happened because windmill developments and leader lane developments wanted to build a brand, and they approached us because they saw the advantage of using prefabricated components. From a development perspective, it's not just about one project, it's about I have a project portfolio, I want to brand it in a certain way, I have a certain look, and that's what we ultimately developed. We tried to make a certain design language that matches their brand, and then roll out this first building and see how that goes, and then we decide on future buildings. The government saying that we need to support the industry and build up prefab and industrialized construction is certainly a tailwind that already got a lot of companies and a lot of investors looking ahead and saying this is a market that will grow, and we want to help it grow and want to establish companies that can enable the delivery of housing faster. But we certainly still need to work on harmonizing more of the building code. If you want prefab companies to grow really big and provide a lot of housing at scale and very efficiently, you need to enable the same product across the country. And that we can certainly do with the building codes and still allow cities and projects and developers to have a say in the specific design of the buildings and keep a vibrant city with many different shapes of buildings and many different urban landscapes that we appreciate. We think that in the future, mass timber by itself will definitely take off just because it is a more sustainable building material, and it is faster to build with it, and it is more efficient, and it is also a material that I think people really appreciate. And as we see more and more residential buildings with mass timber, that will definitely become something that everyone understands. We already have a labor shortage in the construction industry, so we will not build more buildings just by pouring money in. We will have to find technologies that enable us to build faster with the same number of people that we have. And I think prefab and mass timber will enable that.